Niga Langau Lansu Late to it. Bibikinis Yopune Lamshaw Lailushi Bikinis Yopun body. And yet Napai Tamavido, Pure, Davalo, no so by January. Langau Lamshaw Lama lay Bikinis Yoknine Suravali. Tine Celebi of Pure.
In the talk last night, the Sayadaw dealt with the business of walking a crooked path, reaching a goal or destination that is not free from danger. And how if one walks a straight path, then invariably one will arrive at the safe haven. However, there was a little bit that was left unsaid. And the Sayadaw will talk about walking on the straight path tonight.
Uchugo Nama Someko Abya Nama Sadisa Sadisa Toyati Abaya Bikin do Aya Bikin Ya Pel Meswafia Nujale Pare Edama Bikin Ya Sara Bikin Ya Nibango Yivebido Mijabare Bimishia Ya Eria Yautu A Bimishi Chow Tea Pita Molo Nibango Dinia Tanapa Abaya Sutavare Oh, Eddie near Tana, the Yoga Pokua, Bimishi, a chow. They are the
Straight is the path, is that path that you had walked on, that will lead you to a safe haven. So the Buddha said to the Deva. What is meant by a haven in this sense? It's a haven because it is safe from the dangers which we talked about yesterday. Actually, the Buddha was referring to Nibbana, which is free from danger.
Abya Nama Sadi Sadi Nibbana Sandaya Ahad Tasmehi Kinji Bayanati Tanwa Patasa Bayanati Abya Nama Sadi Sadi Otalo Jangam Yama Mijabare Lagao Nibango Lagao Nibama Kinji Bayan Tazundaya Chokpaya Mashi Kinji Bayanati Chokpaya Mashi a chokti Kenny Luria Solushi, a chow mew job. Emina chokchat. I never yoked by no josia Bama Maluro. Yawa Batasa Bayanati the Abya Nama Sadisa. The knee, any neighbor yoked a boko a Biri Luma Kinji a chokshita holo Abya Lutiluchanga Yama Yata Guna ပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းပါပဲအဲ့ဒီဟာကိုဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ဘာဘေးတွေကင်းတယ်လို့ဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါတွေတော့နားလည်ဖို့အရေးကြီးပါတယ်
You just heard the Sayadaw reciting a part of the commentary that was explaining this word haven. The first explanation says that it is called a haven because it is safe from fear, from danger. In Nibbana, there is not a single fear, not a single fearful danger to be found, and therefore it is a haven. Or, alternatively, the person who arrives, so to speak, at Nibbana is in a fearless and dangerless situation, and therefore that person at that point of time can also be called the fearless, the dangerless, the one without danger.
Mniga ပြောခဲ့ပါတယ်မဂ္ဂင်ရှိပါတဲ့မှာသီလမဲ့ခင်သမာဓိမဲ့ခင်ပညာမဲ့ခင်ဆိုတာပါလေသုံးပုံပုံလိုက်လို့ရှိရဲ့သုံးပိုင်းပဲရှိတော့တာပဲသီလမဲ့ခင်နေပြည့်စုံရဲ့အတ္တနုဝါဒဘေးပရနုဝါဒဘေးဒန္တဘေးတွေပေါ့လေဒါတွေကင်းတာဒါတွေကင်းတာသိကြတာပဲပြီးတော့သီလပြည့်စုံနေလို့ရှိရဲ့တုဂတိဘေးဆိုတာလည်းပဲဒါလည်းကင်းသွားတာပဲအဲ့ဒီပေါ်မှာသမာဓိပညာဆိုင်ရာတရားတွေကလည်းပါနေတာဖြစ်တော့စိတ်ထဲမှာဖြစ်နေတဲ့ကိလေသာတွေမျိုးနေတဲ့ကိန်းနေတဲ့ကိလေသာတွေဒါတွေအမှန်ကြောက်ဖွယ်ရတယ်ပဲခုလည်းငင်းပဲကင်းနေတာကြည့်ပေါ့အဲ့ဒါအဘိယလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အတ္တနိဝါဒအစရှိတဲ့ဘေးမျိုးတွေပြီးတော့ဝဆင်းရဲ့ဘေးတွေပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီဘေးတွေလုံးဝကင်းနေတဲ့အတွက်အဘိယလို့ဒီလိုလည်းပဲတနည်းဆိုနိုင်ပါတယ်
We talked yesterday about how the Eightfold Noble Path can be divided into three groups. The first group of Sila, the second of Samadhi, and the third of Panya. When one is quite pure in respect of one's conduct, one is free from the fear of self-blame, of remorse. One is also free from being censured or blamed by the wise. Freedom from punishment by the law is also another benefit. And last but not least, one is free from the fearful fate of having to be reborn in states of war, states of misery. As one is walking on this Eightfold Noble Path, not only is the group on Sila, not only is the Sila group accomplished, but with the Samadhi group and the Wisdom group there, one can also be free from other sorts of fearful things. One can be free, for instance, from the fearful danger of obsessive kilesas, negative tendencies which arise within us, arise in our hearts and obsess us. This can be overcome through samadhi. The more subtle sort of kilesas, latent kilesas, can be overcome by insight knowledge as it arises in the wake of mindfulness and concentration. So you can appreciate that when one is walking this Eightfold Noble Path, one can be free from many sorts of dangers. One is safe from fearful things. And therefore this path itself could also be a haven, a cause that brings you to the haven of Nibbana.
The Chariot baking a neighbor Yashi to a she was a chain lady baking lower. The she then had a Bama Malupene baking a neighbor and Tayo Panamo. She was a Eddie baking a neighbor. Trong young yogi to it. Logi Chindiari boy. Logi Dila the Mari Pina Chindiari. Era di China there. Era di China put up here, Suraboli. A Yamabia Lepani there. Choke for your county, baby body. A kite, ching my lady. Came to our body. Lungas in the cess of your man.
In order to arrive safely at the destination of Nibbana, to arrive at this haven of Nibbana, we have first of all got to walk on a more mundane sort of path. It's mundane in the sense that it is not beyond. We're walking this Eightfold Noble Path, developing this threefold training of Sila, Samadhi and Panya. It's very essential to develop this training from moment to moment, so that one may eventually arrive at the haven of Nibbana. One should not be misled to think that Nibbana can be realized without going through this preliminary training. So tonight we'd like to talk about the very fearful dangers which occur in a vicious cycle from moment to moment. It is this vicious cycle of samsara on a momentary level that will be the subject of tonight's talk.
Guyashi Tare Yunan Kore Boaha Kamazara Kudu Kanjao. ခြေဘဝကကုသိုလ်တွေပြုခဲ့လို့ယခုလူဘဝရရှိတာအဲဒီကုသိုလ်တွေပြုရတာလည်းပဲအခုလိုယုံနာဘဝရဲ့ယုံနာဘဝတွေပေါ်မှာဆွဲလန်းလို့ตาရလို့တဏှာဥပါဒဏ်တွေဖြစ်လို့ဆွဲလန်းตาရတယ်ตาရဆွဲလန်းတယ်ဆိုတာလဲယုံနာနေအပြစ်ကိုမမြင်လို့ယုံနာနေဟာဘာမှအကုလုပ်တဲ့တရားတွေမဟုတ်ဘူးဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ပျက်စီးသွားတဲ့တရားတွေပဲဖြစ်လိုက်ပြက်လိုက်နဲ့ဆင်းရဲတဲ့တရားတွေပဲကိုယ်လိုတိုင်းဘာမှဖြစ်တာမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုတာပေါ့လေဒီလိုအမှန်တိုင်းမမြင်တဲ့အဝိဇ္ဇာအမှန်တိုင်းမမြင်တဲ့အပြင်အဲ့ဒါတွေကိုမြဲတယ်ကောင်းစားချမ်းသာတယ်ဘာမှမဆိုကိုယ်လိုတိုင်းဖြစ်တာပဲဆိုတဲ့ပြုံးမြန်ဆန့်ကျင်ပဲမြင်တဲ့အဝိဇ္ဇာအဲ့ဒီအဝိဇ္ဇာတစ်ခုအရင်ခံတာပဲဒီတော့ဘဝဒီပေါ်မှာအမှန်တိုင်းမမြင်အလွဲတွေရှောက်မြင်တော့ကောင်းလို့ရာตาရတာပဲတောင်းတာပဲတဏှာဖြစ်တော့တာပဲကောင်းတာလေးတွေတောင်းတာကောင်းတာလေးတွေမြင်ကြားရင်နားရင်စားရင်ထိရင်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီအာယုံလေးတွေရပြီဆိုရင်ตาရပြီးတော့ဆွဲလန်းထားတယ်ငါကပဲခံစားတာပဲစသည်ပေါ့လေငါလေးကောင်အနေနဲ့ဒီလိုဆွဲလန်းပြန်တယ်အဝိဇ္ဇာရဏဥပါဒံဆိုတာရှေ့ကကိလေသာကိုအကြောင်းခံပြီးတော့ကာမဝဖြစ်တယ်အဲ့ဒီကာမဝကာမတခါအခုလိုလူဘဝဝိပါကဝတ္တိဖြစ်ရတာအကျိုးတရားတွေပေါ်ရတာ
It is due to our past karmic activities which were done within the sensual realm that we are now having this opportunity to be living the life that we are living. The life that we obtain upon rebirth on this planet becomes the subject or object rather of craving and clinging. You see that our life at this present moment is an effect of a previous cause in an earlier life. And right now, because we have this body and mind, which is the effect, we again start to cling, to crave and to cling to our bodies and minds. You can begin to see this vicious cycle. It's very... the reason for this craving and clinging is of course avidya, ignorance. There is, first of all, the ignorance of not knowing that the body and mind that we have really consists of nothing more than mental and physical phenomena which arise and pass away from moment to moment. It is the ignorance of the fact that there is tremendous suffering occurring as a result of being oppressed by this momentary arising and passing away. There is the ignorance of the fact that there is no self involved. There is no one at home. There is no unchanging entity behind this process of arising and passing away. Secondly, there is the ignorance of delusion. One is deluded into thinking that this phenomena of that this rising and falling phenomena of mind and matter is in fact permanent, is in fact unchanging. One is deluded into thinking that because it is permanent and unchanging, it is happiness to have this body. It is great to have this mind. It is very enjoyable to have this life that you've been born with, or you've born into, so to speak. There is also delusion in respect of utter. One is deluded into thinking that there is someone controlling all these physical and mental activities that are going on. There is a permanent self, there is an I that is in charge of the situation. These two aspects of avidya, of ignorance, cause the arising of craving. There is craving with respect to whatever one sees, or hears, or smells, or tastes, or touches, or thinks. Craving for more pleasure. Craving to satisfy one's desires. And that's not all. Once we get what we want, then there is the clinging to it, there is an attachment to it. There's a grasping, there is a refusal, unwillingness to let go. Once you get it, you want it for keeps. You don't want to let go of it. This is the vicious cycle, a past cause that has brought about this effect of our body and mind. And due to this basic and fundamental ignorance, again, we activate a whole new series of causes, of karma. This is certainly something very fearful and dangerous.
Ariya Maya Shivi Pubabaga Medi Puani Deka when I saw the Venga Bioga day, the Latamari Pina, they cut on yellow bani do. Wizard and Uara, Kore a jaw, Kilita, what up by your body. Kilita would be. Here are the Yeni there. Boya lady, Boze Lavida, 2 Jamjat Havi, the swimmers were shooter. Sure, my sickly side Javia. Chain that guy video nay, the woman lady did it away. To what is attended the lady did it away. Tira Matibia, Madi Machida, a Kilita, very named one. Madi, 2 and 9. Madai did it, Pie, Yonani, Neti, Pie, ကြောင်းကျိုးအနေနဲ့သိလိုက်ပြဲလိုက်အထူးအဖြင့်မမျက်စိရဲ့သဘောပဲဆိုတာသိရင်ပြဲသွားတာသိနေတယ်ဆိုတာမသိပြောက်ဝိဇ္ဇုပါဒဝိဇ္ဇာនិရောဓဆိုတာပေါ့လေအသိဉာဏ်ဝိဇ္ဇာရောက်လာတော့အဝိဇ္ဇာအလင်းအဝိဇ္ဇာအမှောင်ပြောက်သွားတာအလင်းရောက်တော့အမှောင်လိုပြောက်သွားတယ်လို့ပေါ့လေဖြစ်ခွင့်မရဘူးဖြစ်ခွင့်မရတော့မသိရင်တွဲဆိုတာပေါ့လေမသိလို့တွဲတဲ့တဏှာကိုသိတော့ပြဲသွားတယ်တဏှာလည်းပေါ်မလာဘူးတဏှာပေါ်မှตายာမှုဥပါဒံပေါ့လေตายာပြီးတော့ဆွဲလာတဲ့တဏှာဥပါဒံမြင်မှထင်မှပြီးတော့ဆွဲလာတဲ့ဒိဋ္ဌိဥပါဒံဖြစ်နေတာအဲ့ဒီဥပါဒံလည်းမပေါ်တော့ဒီနည်းနဲ့ပဲဝိဇ္ဇာတဏဥပါဒံကိလေသာဝဘေးတွေကင်းနေတာအဲ့ဒါအဘယပဲအချိန်ပိုင်းအဘယလေးတွေဖြစ်နေတာအဲ့ဒါဘေးကင်းရာဆိုတာပေါ့လေဒါပြောတာပဲ
If you're on this preliminary part of the Eightfold Noble Path, you are actually working to break through this vicious cycle that is happening from moment to moment. You are endeavoring to cut through this cycle of kilesa. When you are mindful, you are putting in the effort and watching whatever phenomena that arises. Then your mind is able to be focused on what is happening. With accurate aim, your consciousness will have the opportunity to gain an insight into the true nature of what is happening. The true nature of mind and matter is realized, is seen in a very special way, intuitive way. When dukkha is seen, or rather when suffering things are seen in their true light, there is the absence of avijja. Avijja is the ignorance of not knowing things as they really are. With appropriate effort, good mindfulness, and stable concentration, accuracy of mind will enable your consciousness to penetrate into the true nature of things. At that point, the darkness of ignorance is dispelled by the light of wisdom. In the absence of ignorance, how then will craving be able to arise? When one sees things as they really are, craving cringes away. Craving will be unable to arise. Without craving, clinging to will be out of the picture. And so it is said that not knowing, one clings. Knowing, it's free. For one is free from clinging. One is free from craving. So you can see now that when you're walking this preliminary part of the Eightfold Noble Path, you are actually killing these causes. these present causes of ignorance, of craving, of clinging. Craving arises and clinging follows. There is a clinging to experience, as well as clinging to the wrong view that there is an atta, that there is a self, there is somebody holding the reins, someone in charge. And these three causes are dispelled for that moment, then there is freedom. And one has successfully got through the cycle of kilesa.
Ushimata yogi boguri ha shurai titi ni lo shi the chet di dwa the chet abaya dita ye the chain yauk twada be 10 ချက်ရှုနေ10ချိန်ရောက်နေတာပဲတဏှာရှုနေတဏှာရောက်နေတာပဲတနေ့လုံးရှုနေတနေ့လုံးလည်းရောက်နေတာပဲဒါပါတကယ်ကိုကိလေသာကိုကာမဥပါကကိုကြောက်เสียဘေးတွေကလွတ်တဲ့နေရာဌာနဆက်ရောက်နေတာဆက်ရောက်မှုအလိုလိုကိစ္စပြည့်စည်နေတာ
In fact, with the cycle of karma, kilesa and vipaka destroyed for that particular moment, one can consider oneself in a safe place. One is free from the dangers of the kilesas. One is free from the fearful karmic activities that would otherwise happen. One has indeed arrived at the haven. And this haven of yours will be there as long as you are mindful. If there is a moment of mindfulness, you have a moment of haven. As a minute of mindfulness, an hour, a day of mindfulness, you are safe and secure in your own heaven for that length of time.
ရှုတိုင်းကိလေသာဝတ္တဘယပေါ့လေကိလေသာဟိုကြောက်ဖွယ်ရဘေးကင်းပြီဆိုရင်ကိလေသာဝတ်ရှိပါမှကာမဝတ်ကလာတာပဲဟိုအကုသိုလ်ကံနေဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်ပြီးတော့ဝတ္တကာမိခေါ်တဲ့ဘဝလေစီတတ်တဲ့ဘဝဖြစ်စီတတ်တဲ့ကုသိုလ်ကံတွေလာနိုင်တယ်အခုတည်းမှာကိလေသာဝတ်မရှိတော့ကာမဝတ်ဘေးလည်းပဲမရောက်တော့ဘူးအဲ့ဒီဘေးကင်းတဲ့စီလည်းပဲရောက်လူရောက်နေတာကာမဝတ်ရှိပါမှဝိပါကဝတ်လည်းလာတာကာမဝတ်မရှိဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဝိပါကဝတ်လည်းပဲမလာတော့ဝိပါကဝတ်ဘေးလည်းပဲဒါလည်းပဲကင်းနေတာပဲဒီနည်းနဲ့ပဲကိလေသာဝတ်ကောကာမဝတ်ကောဝိပါကဝတ်ကောဝဆင်းရဲ၃ပါးပေါ့လေဘေးကင်းရဖြစ်တဲ့နေရာဌာနမှတ်ချက်တိုင်းရောက်နေတာ
It would be useful to elaborate on the mechanics of how these three types of cycles are destroyed during that particular moment of successful mindfulness. The kilesas, or the cycle of kilesas, is in fact responsible for karmic activities to occur. Because of the kilesas of ignorance, craving, of clinging, then one begins to make karma to satisfy these kilesas. And of course, there are various thoughts of karma. There is the karma that is wholesome, the wholesome sort of karma that will perpetuate existence in samsara, that will bring about wholesome results as it propels you through samsaric existence. But this is not, this sort of karma that will perpetuate samsaric existence is not being performed when one is meditating, when one is being mindful, just watching things as they come and go. That is a wholesome activity, that is a wholesome karma, but it is not a karma that will bring about continual existence in samsara. And because one is also free from unwholesome karmic activities while walking on this preliminary part of the Eightfold Noble Path, one need not have to worry about the negative consequences of such actions, which are not being done anyway when one is meditating. In the absence of karmic activities that will bring about continual existence in samsara, the vipakkas, or the resultants, otherwise occurring, will also be absent. So you can see that with every moment of mindfulness, the kilesas, the cycle of kilesa, the cycle of karma, and the cycle of vipaka are all shattered. This means that during that particular moment of mindfulness, one is free from the dangers of these three cycles. One is free from fear that these three cycles might bring about bad things in the future.
ဥနာတိဒုက္ခဘေးတွေမကင်းတဲ့ယခုလိုအကျိုးဝိပါကကိုဘေးခေါ်တဲ့ယုံနာခန္ဓာကြီးရှေ့ဆက်ပြီးတော့မဖြစ်လို့ရှိရင်ဒီယုံနာခန္ဓာကြီးကိုပယ်လို့တော့မရဘူးဖြစ်နေပြီပဲပယ်လည်းမပယ်တတ်ဘူးဒီတော့အလားတူဆင်းရဲတွေနဲ့ဆင်းရဲတွေမကင်းတဲ့အကျိုးတရားမလို့ခြင်းရဲ့အဲ့ဒီအကျိုးတရားကိုဖြစ်စေနိုင်တဲ့အကြောင်းကိုပယ်ဖို့ပဲရှိတော့တယ်သူတို့ရဲ့အကြောင်းတွေဟာဘာတွေလဲလို့ဆိုတော့ကအဝိဇ္ဇာတဏဥပါဒကနေပဲအဲ့ဒါဒီမဖြစ်အောင်လုပ်ဖို့ပဲ
But there's a little catch here. You find yourself now in this body and mind, which is a result of past causes. What if you feel that this body and mind is so much suffering that you want to get rid of it? I mean, you wouldn't be doing much good to try to kill yourself. If you really want to be free from the suffering of having to live with such a body and mind, which is anyway a result of previous causes. You have to do something more constructive. You have to destroy the causes that will bring about a similar result, a similar sort of body and mind in the future. The causes are none other than ignorance, craving, and clinging, which are happening in this present existence unless you do something about them.
အကြောင်းတရားတွေဒုက္ခဖြစ်ခြင်းအကြောင်းတရားတွေကိုပယ်လို့ရှိရင်အကျိုးတရားကိုပဲရှုခွင့်ရှုခွင့်အာယုန်အနေနဲ့အသုံးချရအောင်မှာပဲဒီဟာတွေပေါ်ရလေးတွေပေါ်ဆဲလိုက်ပြီးတော့ရှုရတာပဲမဂ္ဂင်၈ပါးခြင်းတရားတွေဒီပေါ်မှာပွားရတာပဲပွားတော့အမှန်သိလို့ရှိရင်တောင်းတမှုတဏှာလည်းပဲမရှိပြီးတော့ဆွဲလမ်းမှုဥပါဒံလည်းမရှိဘူးအဲ့တော့အကျိုးတွေကိုရှုခွင့်အနေနဲ့အသုံးချတော့ဒါအကျိုးတွေကိုရှုမှတ်တယ်လို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အကျိုးတရားတွေကိုရှုမှတ်တာသိအောင်လုပ်တာအဲ့ဒါအကျိုးရှုမှတ်တော့အကြောင်းนี่အလိုလိုသေးနေတာပဲသေးတယ်ဆိုတာကဖြစ်ပြီးသားသေးတာမဟုတ်ဘူးဖြစ်ခွင့်မရတာအကျိုးရှုမှတ်အကြောင်းတတ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေအကြောင်းนี่သေးသွားတာမဆက်တန်တရားတဲ့တန်တရားလည်းမဆက်တော့ကိလေသာဝကစားပြီးတော့ဟိုဘက်ဟိုသုံးပါးတစ်ခါလည်းပြတ်သွားတာမဆက်တော့ဘူးတော့ဖြစ်သွားတာသိရှင်းတယ်တရား
It's quite tricky, really. In order to destroy the causes, you have to work with the effects. You have to work with the result. That is your body and mind. This refers practically to all the objects that are likely to arise at any of the six sense doors. You have to be mindful of them. You have to exert that persistent and persevering effort to be mindful of whatever that arises at its moment of occurrence. When one does that with the factors of right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, and right aim, you will be able to understand its true nature. When the mind is so focused on these momentary objects, the kilesas have no chance to break in, have no chance to infiltrate into your mind. Thus it is said that only if the results, the effects are observed, can the causes be killed, can the causes be destroyed. Destroying the causes here, of course, does not mean destroying in a very active sense. Rather, this refers to the absence of kilesas when one is concentrated on one's object of meditation. This refers to the inability of the kilesas in arising in the mind when one is concentrated on the object of meditation. So only if the effect is observed can the causes be destroyed. Thus, there is no connection in samsara. There is no connection because you have destroyed the cause. And the effect will not be able to arise without a cause in the future. And therefore you have severed a link, many links in samsaric existence.
ဒီနေ့တိုင်းရှုလို့ဥပဒနာဉာဏ်นี่ရင့်ကျက်ပြည့်စုံလာတဲ့အခါဖြစ်ဖြစ်မစအငိမ့်တဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီအငိမ့်တကိုအရိယာမိညာဖူညာနဲ့မျက်မှောက်ပြုတည်သွားမှာအဲ့ဒီကကြတော့မလေးပါးနဲ့အစဉ်စဉ်ကိလေသာတွေပြတ်သွားမှာတနည်းအားဖြင့်လည်းကိလေသာကိုကာမဥပါကဝတ္တိပေါ့လေပြတ်ငြိမ့်ပြီးတော့တကယ်အေးချမ်းတဲ့အဘယဓိတာဆိုတာစိုက်သွားမှာပဲ
Tracking on this Eightfold Noble Path and going through the various stages of Vipassana insights, one will eventually arrive at the haven of Nibbana, the haven that is free from all sorts of dangers. There are various stages of attainments. First, the second, the third, and the fourth. And in each successive stage, kilesas are uprooted according to their respective classes. Eventually, when one has attained the final stage of enlightenment, then the ultimate haven is reached.
သတ္တပတ္တိမဉ္ဇဏ်နဲ့သတ္တပတ္တိမဲ့၈ပါးနဲ့ပေါ့လေမဲ့ကြီး၈ပါးနဲ့မျက်မှောက်ပြုတည်သွားရင်အပယ်နဲ့ဆက်တဲ့ကိလေသာဝကင်းပြီးတော့အပယ်ပရိသေတွေဖြစ်စီနိုင်တဲ့ကာမကိုလည်းပဲကင်းသွားတာပဲပြီးတော့အပယ်မှာဖြစ်နိုင်တဲ့ဥပါကကိုပရိသေတွေပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါလည်းပဲဒါလည်းငြိမ့်သွားတာပဲအဲ့ဒါလောက်ငြိမ့်ရင်ပဲတော်တော်လေးချမ်းသာသွားပါပြီဆက်ပြီးတော့အားထုတ်လို့အထက်မဲ့တရားတွေပြည့်သွားပြီနောက်ဆုံးအရတ္တမဲ့နဲ့ကိလေသာတွေမှန်သမျှအကုန်လုံးပြတ်လိုက်ပြီဆိုရင်ကာမကိုဘေးလည်းမရှိတော့ဥပါကကိုလည်းဘေးလည်းမရှိတော့နောက်ဆုံးပြိဋိဘံစံပြီးလုံးဝဘေးကင်းတဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်ပေါ့လေဒါခါလဲဆက်ရောက်သွားမှာပဲအဲ့ဒါကတော့အကောင်းဆုံးပေါ့လေဒီမှာအဲ့ဒါမှတကယ်အဘယဓိစာဆိုတာပေါ့လေတကယ်ဘေးတွေကင်းတဲ့လုံခြုံတဲ့နေရာဌာနပေါ့လေဒါခါလဲစိုက်သွားတာ
In fact, at each of these four stages of enlightenment, all three cycles of kilesa, kama, and vipaka, vipaka meaning resultant, are uprooted, are broken, are shattered according to their respective degrees. For instance, at the moment of attaining the Sotapatti Magga, the path consciousness of the stream winner, the 3 cycles that is somewhat connected, the 3 cycles that are connected to the world's, the states of misery are shattered. This means that the noble path consciousness of a stream entrant has the power of uprooting kilesas that will bring about rebirth in the states of misery. This will also entail the removal of karmic activities connected with those sort of kilesas that will bring about rebirth in the states of misery. And finally, all past karma that has been committed in the past will no longer give results in the states of misery. That is the level of success that a stream entrant can attain. As we go up further, you can imagine how at the various levels of enlightenment, at the higher levels of enlightenment, more and more types of kilesas can be uprooted. And finally, with the attainment of the path consciousness of an arahant, there is a total obliteration of these 3 cycles of kilesa, karma and resultant. No longer will an arahant be plagued by these 3 cycles, and upon his death he will attain to the highest level of security, the haven of the great Nibbana.
အနည်းဆုံးတတ္တပတ္တိမဲ့လောက်ရရင်ပဲလမ်းမှားမလိုက်တော့ပါဘူးလမ်းကောက်တွေလည်းမလိုက်တော့ပါဘူးအဲ့ဒီလမ်းမှားလမ်းကောက်တွေကိုတတ္တပတ္တိမဲ့ကပယ်လိုက်ပါတယ်လမ်းကောက်လိုက်မှကြုံနိုင်တဲ့ကြောက်ဖွယ်ရာရန်နေဘေးတွေပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါတွေလည်းပဲအလိုလိုငြိမ့်သွားတော့တာပါပဲအထူးငြိမ့်နေဖို့မလိုတော့ဘူးဒါကြောင့်ကျမ်းဂန်များဥဒ္ဓရိမဲ့မှာဣသမေကောဤတတ္တပတ္တိမဲ့တိအတ္တင်ကိကအင်္ဂါ၈ပါးရှိသောမိစ္ဆာမဲ့ကလမ်းမှားလမ်းကောက်ကိုပကြဟတိပယ်လိုက်တော့ဤတဲ့အင်္ဂါ၈ပါးမဲ့လမ်းမှားပယ်ရှားတုတ်တည်နေစားဒါလမ်းမှားမလိုက်တော့ဘူးဆိုတော့လမ်းမှားလိုက်တဲ့အခါမှာကိုယ်တွင်းယံနေပေါ့လေဒုစရိတယံနေရှိတာယံလည်းမရှိတော့ဘူးယံလည်းအေးသွားပြီယံမကင်းမှာဘေးတွေ့မှာကို Bilem Laro, Chopoya, Adanuara Sai, the Chopoya, Billy, Ramolo, Taba, Wira, Bayani, Lozon Loya, Lozon of Bido, Kuba, the Medi, Ni on Lupiva, that's a badima. When I go there.
Alonso be. Alonso. Be Alonso.
Yan be.
Alonso. A bad jan and law.
And by Benabadi.
Alomo. However, you may be encouraged to know that even with the attainment of the lowest level of enlightenment, you will be able to be free from walking the wrong path. At the very moment when the path consciousness of a stream entrant occurs, it will cut off any possibility for that person to walk on or to follow a wrong spiritual practice, a wrong path. It will also cut off the possibility of walking on a crooked path. Therefore, in the text, in the Visuddhimagga, it is said that this path consciousness of a stream entrant has the power of cutting off the possibility, of removing the possibility of the person walking or following a wrong spiritual practice or walking on a crooked path. As a corollary, this means that that person is also free from self-blame, from remorse, from the blame by the wise, from the danger of punishment and the danger of falling into states of misery. This is because he no longer is able to walk on a crooked path. Therefore, such a person is completely free from the dangers that are connected with the states of misery.
Adilo Tadapati Melama Mayadi Kirita to your Purusi Manamia Pane do lesser Amana Bubi Chow do it, Bayani McKenna take under Rema Tawani de Ki de Lube. Did Amana Japoya Gaune take under Rajigo, Chanya Dadane, Chatan Tuan Boya Yin Gaun Lu the low body. True to where Tandrari Udo Kandarajigo, Chatan Kubuya, Dwet. Chanya Dadane, Biakin near Tana, Yoshibuya, Dwet. Yin Lure. Eddie Yataying of Yaswa Piaga, Celebido, Natao, Rato Aguzano Nama, Sadi or Daddy, Mijabare. Atande Yatayin ye, the Mayatayin ye, send it. Apia Paṇḍitā. A worldling who has not yet attained to the state of a stream entrant is often likened
to a traveler who is undertaking a perilous journey. There are many dangers that await a traveler who wishes to cross a desert, for example, or a very thick jungle or forest. In order to safely perform the journey, he must be well equipped. If he has a good vehicle to take him across the desert, if he has a good vehicle to carry him across that perilous journey, it will of course be to his advantage. And the Buddha then said to the Deva, referring of course to this analogy, that he said, I have discovered this silent vehicle called the Eightfold Noble Path to help you cross this, to help you through this perilous journey so that you can arrive safely at your desired haven.
ကျန်တဲ့အစိပ်ပိုင်းတွေတော့အကြောင်းအရာတွေတော့နောက်နေ့မှဆက်ပြီးတော့ပြောမယ်ဒီနေ့အချိန်ကုန်သွားပါပြီ။ဒါလည်းပဲတော့ကြအောင်စို့
So much for today. The Sayadaw will continue with the lecture tomorrow.